Hi guys, my name is Rachel and today I'm giving my 5-minute review of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Now, if you're new here, here's how this works. I take 5 minutes, I tell you one thing I loved about this book, one thing I didn't love so much, and then I give it a rating out of 5 stars, and I answer the question whether you should read this book or not. As we all know, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is Suzanne Collins' prequel novel to the Hunger Games trilogy. It follows President Snow as a young boy named Coriolanus, and it explores how he comes to rise in his position. Now, I did read the Hunger Games when they were first out, when they were big. Before the movies came out, I read them in a weekend, and then I reread them a few years later, and I enjoyed them. I really, really did, but they were not my end-all be-all. So coming into this book, I didn't really have a lot of expectations. I was just kind of curious to see what she did and what she explained and how the world progressed. I have to say I was pleasantly satisfied. I finished the book and told my husband I really enjoyed that. I think I might have loved it. You know, in the next day, love might be a strong word. I really did enjoy it. I tend to like most things that I read though, so maybe I did love it. I don't know. The one thing that I really loved about this book was the way Suzanne Collins made me root for President Snow. And that is a hard thing to say with my mouth because in the Hunger Games trilogy, we all hated him, and I didn't know that she could make me root for him, especially as she created his character to be a complete sociopath. Like, there's not really an ounce of good in him. Everything he does is for himself. But I wanted him to win, and I think that's a real tribute to the way she writes and the way she develops her characters. The one thing that I really, really did not enjoy about this book, and it's very, very small, it's the first thing that came to mind though when I started talking about doing my review, was as she should, Suzanne Collins is doing callbacks to the original trilogy. There are things, District 12 is mentioned, the Katniss plan is mentioned, but the one thing I hated, guys, the one thing I hated was as soon as the Mockingjay came on screen, on page, Coriolanus instantly hated the Mockingjay for no reason. Like, she kind of gave a reason, but it was a half-hearted reason. I really thought she just wanted to tie it in between Katniss as the Mockingjay. Like, he instantly hated the Mockingjay, and that's why he hates Katniss, is because he hates the Mockingjay. Now, I'm okay with him hating the bird, and that's why he hates Katniss. However, I felt like she could have developed an actual reason for why he hated it, and she did. Like, as the story progresses, non-spoilers, there are things that happen that would cause him to hate this bird, okay? Very realistic, very understandable things. But what frustrated me the most was as soon as he saw this bird, he was like, I hate that bird. And it was stupid and unnecessary, and that's the one thing that drove me crazy the most. Overall, I think I would give it a 3.5 stars. I think it was really good. I think if you've read The Hunger Games, you should read it. I think if you are going to read The Hunger Games, you should read it. I don't think you should leave this book out. But it wasn't, I wasn't a huge Hunger Games fan. Wasn't something that I lost my mind over, but I really enjoyed it and I closed the book and was very satisfied and very happy with what I just read. So that's all I have for today, guys. Stick around for some spoilers and I'll see you in the next video. The last couple of chapters where he is hunting Lucy Gray in the forest, I was on the edge of my seat. The progression of wondering if she was actually, I was with Coriolanus in that chapter. I didn't know if she was there. I was watching him figure out that she knew. I was wondering where she went. I'm so angry that I didn't pick up on the connection between the freaking song about her, Lucy Gray, disappearing in the snow. Like, I should have known that he was going to do something to her. The idea of Dr. Gall, poisoning his mind, and training him and teaching him and harnessing what she recognized as sociopathy and harnessing that to work for her good and to build his worldview to match her own was brilliantly done. Dr. Gall might have been my favorite character because she was horrible. Sejanus, I wanted him to lose. I saw him as a rebel sympathizer who needed to lose because he wasn't falling in line. That's how much she made me follow his perspective. I'm from Tennessee, so I loved all of the connections to Appalachia and the culture there and the music and the bluegrass. I loved everything that she did with that. I feel like she really did her research on bringing in songs. I used to sing Oh My Darling Clementine in school all the time. Part 3 was probably my favorite. Just watching him, I think taking him outside of his element of the capital and putting him in a district really brought out his evilness, his creepiness, his weirdo-ness, his capitalness. It brought it out so much stronger. I don't even think he realized how much it brought it out in him. but what I specifically enjoyed was that it was not different. The districts did not make him this way. His time in the District 12 did not make him this way. He was this way, it just was brought out in the district. That story is important. The way he views the capital and the districts and control and chaos in the Hunger Games is very important, because when you're reading the first trilogy, and you're sitting there thinking, like, why do people just let this happen? It's because of President Snow. His ability to charm people and trick people and manipulate people because he's a sociopath is very important in understanding where the story comes from. And that's all I got.